We need to get into V and his dog and what's going on with this. We need to talk about people saying that V might be emotional at the camp for being teased a little bit. And then we have NewJeans actually quitting and leaving HYBE, which has been a huge story right now. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. NewJeans was recently believed to have left the label or have attempted to terminate their contract. Basically, the girls believed that there was a lot of drama within the subsidiaries, also within the main part of the label, that they were entitled to essentially leave. And that since it seemed to be a subsidiary and the main label's fault for everything that occurred, that the girls would not have to pay for any of the contract termination fees. But that, of course, the label themselves would have to pay for that, because it's allegedly their fault, as allegedly they're the ones that have been going against the contract, not the girls. So the girls basically are saying that we should be able to walk and we don't have to go through this long legal battle. So essentially what happens if the group decides to terminate a contract, and if they do want to pay the contract termination fees, or if they want to go to court or whatever it is, they're not allowed to work or continue their activities until the court makes a ruling. So they would have to wait until the court hearing, and then after the court hearing, and if they win at that point, they would then be allowed to go back to work, as opposed to what the girls are opting for now, which is the label would pay the termination fees, and then the girls would just be able to walk and be able to start working again immediately. And if they decide to go to a different label or release independently, we don't know which they'll choose. Now, something that did bother me was the fact that people were saying that the girls were acting very entitled and that they just came to court and decided to say that the contract is terminated and then expect that the contract actually is. That is not what's actually happening. When you're facing a legal battle or you're doing something where you need to be very sure that you are correct, hence why you would even initiate a lawsuit, is because you believe that you're correct, you have to go in and say things as if you are bossing people around. What if the girls came in and said, well, maybe, I think it would be fair if you guys did this. If you don't, then that's okay, but I think it would be fair. No one would take them seriously. They would have to go in and literally say, okay, this is what's going to happen because we believe that we are correct and you're going to do this. That doesn't mean that that's actually going to happen, but that means that they believe that they are correct, which is exactly how they need to approach anything. Now, the difference here is if men were to go to court and say all of this stuff, people would say that he's a boss, right? But because it's girls, they believe that they're being bossy or entitled. And I think that that's interesting to hear, to me at least, since a lot of people believe that they are acting entitled in court and they're saying these things in an entitled way. If the girls do get their way and win, people are just going to believe that, oh, apparently K-pop idols can just walk into court and say things are over and then they're actually over. But the thing is, throughout this whole process, the girls have had lawyers and legal consultation behind them at every step of the way. That means that everything that they say and everything that they do is well calculated by a lawyer and is looked over by a lawyer. What's even better about the girls being in entertainment is that they can feign confidence or anything that a lawyer might want to win a case. So that's my opinion on that. But people can have their own perception about something, and I largely believe the reason why a publicist or a brand manager or anyone really even has a job in entertainment is because people have assumptions that are sometimes wild and sometimes they're not. People recently had an assumption that V might have gotten upset, as there were people saying that one of his close friends outed his relationship status, even though there really wasn't a relationship status to out. And this was definitely very interesting in my opinion. So one of V's old friends, who is a choreographer and dancer, and they worked together multiple times before making several songs, producing, and of course dancing. She ended up posting the video with her dancing alongside V, and of course the performance with both of them is jaw-dropping. But of course we got to see V dance, and that was something that people were definitely freaking out about. In the comments section, and the top comment with over 300,000 likes, we see V leaving a comment. V left a comment saying that he will do the dance again next year, and this is definitely interesting. People were definitely wondering if there would be a reason to do the dance again next year, as if this was choreography for something else, or if this then would be used for something else that he is making in the future. But we'll have to wait and see what that ends up being. So then there was a reply to that comment that wasn't from the choreographer herself, but was from another one of these friends from high school. The friend said something along the lines of, "You are in great shape," as a reply, and this is typically not a big deal. And of course, we agree that V is in great shape. However, there are certain words in Korean that mean different things, and there are certain words that are used differently for different people. So for example, if someone is married, you would typically refer to them as Mrs. instead of Miss, and we can determine who is married and who isn't by if someone calls them Mrs. or Miss. And so similar in Korean, there are words that imply different statuses in life. So apparently this word that the friend used within that sentence was a word to describe a single man, and it wasn't to describe someone who's in a relationship, married, or any of that stuff, just someone who is not in a relationship. People thought it was the friend's way of outing V, as it was basically saying that he's not in a relationship and that he's very single. I'm not exactly sure if the alleged outing is a positive thing or a negative thing, because in American culture, it would be seen as a negative thing. If we were to tell someone, oh, you're so single, then they would probably definitely take that as a little bit of an insult rather than a compliment. But for a K-pop star, I don't know if that is considered an insult or not, because as a K-pop star, you'll want to be single, otherwise you get in trouble. And I'm also wondering if that was the reason why the friend decided to use those specific words. Of course, we could all just be thinking way too much about it, and it wasn't intended to mean any of those things. But of course, this is the theory that the internet has come up with, and it's not a theory that I made up myself. I personally don't really have an opinion on this. Speaking of V, there is some sad news that has occurred. This one was a little bit emotional. It seemed like people cried, and definitely V was likely very emotional about this as well. I want to give a little bit of backstory very quickly in case people don't know, but V's dog definitely was a huge part of V's life, and so much so that V decided to base a lot of his solo album on his dog. His dog was literally on the cover, his dog was part of some performances, he was even in the music video, at least one that made it look like it was his dog. But even going back a little bit more, V has always said that his dog has had health issues to the point where V doesn't like when his dog flies, or his dog might not even be able to fly. And V has always talked about how his dog has like constricted pipes. So I don't know if it's considered asthma or something more severe than that. But basically, the dog gets very tired very fast and has had multiple surgeries and still has not had success in those surgeries. So V knew for a while that his dog was likely not going to have a very long life. Several news sites then covered when V decided to post on his story, basically saying that his dog has taken a long vacation. And anyone that knows his dog and knows the relationship knows that V likely means that his dog has passed, because his dog has always had health issues, right? At first I thought this story wasn't real because it was quite shocking. I wasn't exactly sure if this was something that actually is happening or if it was just someone who made up a story and then it's gone viral. And I was seeing this in the mix with a lot of these AI fake stories. So I wasn't sure what was real and what's not. But then I saw it covered on MTV, and then I saw several other media outlets cover it too, and I was like, oh, this is probably true. And it's pretty cool that MTV picked it up and picked up the story. I think it's pretty cool that the boys are able to get American media attention like that. It just kind of sucks that it's over something like this, as opposed to something that's maybe like their music. I don't know if TMZ ever really even talks about BTS's music though. Now, there were definitely a lot of people who were wondering if the other members have had a reaction to this, and if they've had a reaction to Yeontan dying. As of right now, and as of recording, I don't believe any of the members have made a reaction. I don't know if they would make a reaction or post something, but I can totally see some of the members coming out and posting some photos that they had with the dog and posting those and trying to say their condolences, right? There have been some videos saying that the specific members have had a reaction, but as of right now, they have not had a reaction. So definitely don't believe that. And those who are saying that JK was reacting emotionally, don't believe that, as likely he has not reacted publicly yet. He could be emotional. I would imagine that he is emotional because he has also spent a lot of time with Yeontan as well. However, nothing is being publicly said. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.